Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So, core concepts that we kind of explore through a causal loop diagram are of course cause and effect, that is the way it is called causal loop diagram. We try to understand the feedback loops. See if at the end of it, if your causal loop diagram is just a linear thing, A affects B, B affects C, C affects D, that is not a loop, that is just a linear regression model, there is no feedback, nothing is happening here. So, the entire thing which makes it difficult is when feedback starts to kick in, which makes the system complex, and key causal links that we are interested in are those inside those feedback loops. And in positive feedback loop, even number of negative signs, it will have an amplifying effect, it will cause reinforcing, it will cause growth or a rapid decline. Essentially all these systems are becomes unstable without something to balance or something to goal seek. Or negative feedback loop or balancing, stabilizing, stable equilibrium often good. That is why I told the terms positive and negative here, it can be a misnomer. Positive, it just goes with the number of the direction of movement and things like that. But what we are actually looking for is what are things that is causing the system to balance, to stabilize, stable equilibrium, etc. And this feedback system and everything, even many of our day-to-day lives or even simple electromechanical systems, all are based on feedback. The AC in this room is based on feedback. Imagine if there is nothing to balance it, it is going to get super cold. So there has inherently there will be balance. Even if the system, even if there is some failure point within the sensors, there will be other natural balancing factors, like how much, what are the cooling agent we have in the system, or what is the capacity of it, how much it can actually cool, etc., etc. So those are the things which is going to limit the temperature within the room. So there are various factors that can cause the system to not grow beyond a point. So all those are good. Or when we drive a car or drive a bike, we continuously take feedback. It is not like when you left the hostel and even if you know which path to take, you have to consider instantaneous feedbacks from the trucks and bus which comes, other cyclists, friends, etc., etc. as you come here. You can't just expect to do your thing without taking any feedback at all. So those are completely, it's always inherent in the system. We are trying to make it explicit. In very mechanical systems, electrical systems, it becomes more controllable and easy. Once you move into social systems, it becomes little more difficult, like driving a car, because a lot of feedback, you have to be really alert. People will give you unwanted feedbacks. Everything is there. So then it becomes difficult to model that. It's very easy to model the traffic when it is smooth flowing. Modeling congestion is very difficult. That means there is continuous feedback happening. People have to, that is still right. But eventually people reach their places. It's not that nothing happens. People go home, people go to work, people commute. Things, life moves on. We're taking continuous feedbacks. And delays also occurs in the feedback loops from everything. But only thing is we have to be, and here time units matter. Just because you are doing causal loop on systems level, please pay attention to the time units. Units matter. Here time units matter. So usually if we take some time unit for the causal loop diagram, say the time units can be say in weeks or months or years, and if everything is corresponding to that yearly thing, then we don't put any delay mark. If something is causing additional delays beyond our regular time units that we are taking, that is when we use the delay mark. So and everything takes a delay, like our tea breaks are long, so source of long delays in doing assignment, studying for exams, etc. But that is how it is. So, I'm sure as students or masters, PhDs can relate. Like when faculty goes for tea, it takes long time for them to come back. You have to wait in their door for meeting them. So, there's a lot of delays. Okay. Let's look at some guidelines for the CLDs. All links should have unambiguous polarities. Ambiguous polarities can indicate presence of other pathways. Meaning you can have only plus or minus. You cannot write it depends. You have to choose and say plus or minus. Answer can't be it depends on a lot of things. That won't work. If at all it depends, then you have to uncover what it depends on. Depends, then elaborate the statement. Don't just stop there. That's what we mean by alternate pathways. There's something else that is affecting. List all those things. The model will look bigger, which is fine. There is no this thing for brevity points. So you just go ahead and list what are alternate pathways are there. The second point is proper variable names. Variable names prefer to be nouns or noun phrases. Actions are captured by the causal link themselves. So you don't need to write the action or verbs as a variable. Variable should be nouns or noun phrases. Choose variable names whose normal sense of direction is positive. You don't need to say this causes this whatever criticism increases unhappiness. You can say criticism decreases happiness. So, the normal sense can be in the positive. Or cause increases losses. The cost decreases profit. That could be the so variable names. Normal sense can be the positive direction. So it's easier for us to visualize. So I think it's the same thing. A normal sense of direction is positive for the variables. Okay, let's take these three things and do some examples for that. Let's call it link ambiguity. So standard model from economics is price and revenue. Price affecting revenue depends. Sometimes when price is large, of course, if it should increase my revenue, but that's not always so, because revenue is actually calculated not on one product, but usually on many sales of many products. And if price is too high, then people may stop buying things, right? So there is a bigger narration there that's just relating price to revenue. So on left side I will try to write the incorrect one, on right side I will try to do the correct one. So to do that, you can identify alternate pathways. So as price increases, we expect revenue to increase, but as price increases, sales can fall down. This is some basic economic theory. But revenue is always just quantity sold into the price of product, right? So both direction is the same. Revenue is nothing but sales into price. So we just use the same relationship that we study in other economics course. Revenue is product of sales and price. But as price increases, sales can come down, which had caused some ambiguity here, saying whether when price alone, if you keep it, then we don't get the full picture. So that's what we mean by ambiguous thing. So you don't do this, or you don't say like this. You don't do these things. These are all incorrect. You don't do a plus, slash, minus, and just leave. So let's look at variable names. Here the point was the variable name should be noun or noun phrases, and we should avoid the action, for the action is already captured in the arrows. That is what we have already have. So, again whatever you write on the left side is the incorrect ones. So, we do not write cost rise increases to price increase or something. This is not correct. The correct one would be cost increases, in general price increases. Again these are all, we are just focusing on one small link. So, do not be too critical on those two variables, you just take it by that. Or increasing prices of goods results in increasing demand for wages or salaries, whatever. So, this is how the typical narration which when we talk to clients and others study a system, this is what the narration will come out. I think the price whatever GST comes, GST goes, whatever, does not matter, new taxation comes, the price is increasing. So, there is a pressure to increase your wages and salaries. But to capture it, we can just simply write it as price of goods increases demand for wages. So, the action is already captured by the link. So, when we read this link itself, we read it the way as cost increases, we are looking at the plus sign, as cost increases the price of good also increase, or the price of good increases, it increases the demand for wages. So, this plus sign indicates that. So, otherwise here increasing price of goods, as that increases, it increases the increasing demand for wages. It is a very complicated confusing narration, increasing, decreasing, and all those things we leave it to just the link and the plus sign. Wherever something increases, decreases, increasing, decreasing, all those you leave it to the symbols. Yeah. For the loop, you need to look at the bigger system fully. These are just simple examples. Higher inventory, we can do a negative example also, results in low delivery delay. So, what you are saying is, if I am well stocked, I have a lot of inventory, I can deliver the product to you in very short time, right? That is what people want. So, that is what I want to say, and that is I have higher inventory which results in lower delivery delay. But to capture it correctly, we say inventory decreases delivery delay. So, here when we read it, its inventory increases, I expect my delivery delay to come down because I have ready stock available to meet whatever demand that can come in future, right. So, this is the correct way to write it. So, right side is all the correct ways, this is not the correct ways. So, higher or low, etc. Okay. Allow the action to describe by the links. Dot that, let me just say that and stop it. Normal direction is positive. Let me do the same example again. Okay, sorry. Do not say cost increases losses or criticism increases unhappiness. It is just, these are just guidelines. It's rather we can try to say cost decreases profit or revenue, whatever it is you can imagine. So, these are criticism decreases your happiness, right. These are some, again as I told, on this side is incorrect one, and these sides are the correct ways. These are just common practices, so that the outcomes, when you start looking at it, when we match, we can easily compare, right. We typically we want, okay, higher the better kind of thing. So, we want to from the ground, from the start itself, use variable names with normal senses in the positive direction, so that when we actually analyze it later, it brings a narration. Otherwise, it looks like there is some double negative thing happening, and it's all confusing what we want to do. Okay, so I'll just stop here. So tomorrow we'll again meet 11:30. So tomorrow we may go little beyond class hours, maybe till 12:45, 12:50, because we're going to do some examples. It depends on how long you take to complete examples. So plan to be here at least till 1 o'clock. Okay, thanks.